Greetings, Moonlight citizens. This is your man on the moon here, the Moonlight King, to let you know on this episode of Moonlight Kingdom podcast. I recently found out early this morning that famed film, television, and theater actor Val Kilmer passed away the other day, and this is that's what this episode will be about. Just remembrance of Val Kilmer, his career, and the various film roles he's been in. Just wanted to, take the time to discuss the man, his film roles, and just how, the impact those films and his just, I don't know, his performances have had, not just to me, but, to various others. And yeah, I didn't normally I like to plan these out. Normally I like to write up a script, but can't really think of something. So everything you hear from now on is just, I want this to be as straight from, straight as possible, straight from me as possible. So here we go. Val Kilmer, different guys acted over like several movies over the decades from 80s all the way to late 2010s. Earliest role I think can recall seeing him in would probably be Top Secret. That was quite a comedy, I'll say. It was quite a comedy, certainly. I don't quite remember the plot. There's just I don't remember a plot. I remember the scenes in it, a bunch of scenes in it, like where they were like slowly parachuting down, having that conversation in midair. I mean, this film. When I saw this film, I just thought it was a regular comedy, like because I was used to seeing movies like Airplane and Naked Gun, and this movie definitely ranks up there with those ones. Like there's it was funny, the action was good, the movie was well written. I don't remember anything about this film's plot, but I remember how it made me feel, and remember the scenes in it, like whether it was a scene where they were parachuting down and having a conversation, and it was like, okay, conversation's over, tries to slowly parachute out of frame. The lady goes, wait, and he comes back up. Somehow manages to parachute back up, like, yeah, like the big shootout they had, and like that place full of Germans, or the scene where they had a full on fist fight underwater that went on for 5 minutes, and I'm just thinking, I'm sorry, but no way. Like the comic timing behind, like the stuff that Kilmer was doing, not just with and the jokes, not just the jokes, but like the physical humor, like that one moment where like he was on the ground and he opened his eyes to see these boots, like, oh no, and he thinks like, man, I just landed right in front of a bad guy, and then he slowly sits up and it turns out it's just a pair of boots. Like his face during all that was, yeah, that was a real riot, man. But yeah, even in like the early days of his career with that movie Top Secrets, I think that was like one of his first major roles. Even with that film, like you could tell there was something about this guy. He could, he had the potential to be something, and he did for years after with a lot of heavy roles. I mean, films like Tombstone, Batman Forever, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Granted, I saw a lot of. Okay, I didn't really like the Dr. Moreau, just that story. But I'll just say this much: the films I did enjoy really were Batman Forever and Tombstone, because like just the way he brought something, especially to the character like Docholliday. I remember I saw that movie. I was still in like the fifth or sixth grade, I think, when I saw that one. Because I remember, again, that's the thing with a lot of these films. I don't remember a lot of the plot because I saw that movie way back when. I just remember those few scenes. And most of the scenes I remember were the scenes he was in as Doc Holliday. Like, I saw the movie, and the next, like, a couple days later, I was still thinking about, I'm your Huckleberry. I had no idea what it meant, but I was still thinking about it. And I was still thinking about that one scene where they asked him, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you coming along on this? He's like, I came to help out my friend. And that line there, the delivery of it, this ailing man who ain't got much time to live, not much left, he's basically, his days are numbered. What does he want to do? He wants to go out there and help his friend, even if, you know, if it's to his detriment. The ability for a guy like Val Kilmer to convey that in this man without just making this character seem loyal to a fault. Loyal for no reason, though. It's just very good. There was a level of charm and like charisma that he could convey with a character like that. In you could see that he's not a smiley good guy, but he's the kind of guy who could talk his way out of a shootout. Like you could be standing opposite from a man who wants to flatline him, no problem, and he can just smooth talk his way out of it. He can talk his way out of trouble and talk his way into trouble. Whether he's talking his way into a woman's panties or out of a dude's crosshairs, like it's just yeah, like that scene with that one dude who got punked out by Wyatt Earp, and then out of nowhere you just see like Doc Holliday talking to him. It's like, oh hey, fancy seeing you here, and he just totally ignores the character played by Billy Bob Thornton, and then at the end of the conversation, he turns like, oh, I forgot you were here, like oh, you can go now, like yeah, it was just he was so memorable in that film. I may not have remembered most of that story, and there were some pretty memorable things. The movie had Sam Elliott, Kurt Russell, and Bill Paxton. And the thing that I took away from that the most was Val Kilmer was in there, and he had these quotable lines. Kurt Russell had lines too. He had that line, "You tell him I'm coming, and else coming with me here." But what do I remember? What do I remember? I remember I'm your Huckleberry, and he comes out of there with the cigarette and the smoke going off, looking cool as shit. It's like you're. That's the thing about Val Kilmer, like in those kind of roles, he's not the main character, but you'd swear he was with how the vibe he gave off, the way he presented himself, the way he carried himself, the way he performed. You'd swear it was his movie. Even though it's a Wyatt Earp movie, you'd swear it was a damn Doc Holliday featuring Wyatt Earp. It was real good. Especially when you were talking like the shit with Johnny Ringo. Ugh, shit. It was, oh man. It was so good. Like, just, he was you all know we all know that guy. Like he had a knack of playing the dude. Like we all know that guy. Like you look at him and you think, damn, he cool. Like you wish you could be like that dude. You don't want to be that dude, but you want to be like that dude. But yeah, it's just that he could convey a level of cool that nobody, not nobody, but like a level of cool and charm that to a character, that another actor otherwise might not. It's like, you know, yeah. So when you see him in a film like Batman Forever, you see Val Kilmer in a movie like Batman Forever, it's like, oh, that's an amazing casting choice. Like he could definitely, like as an actor, he can do the physical stuff. When you see him in a movie like Ghost in the Darkness or even Top Secret, he can do the physical stuff. He can be the Batman, but because of how charming he is, he can nail the billionaire playboy persona of Bruce Wayne. He could definitely do those roles, both roles, justice, and that's what he did in his performance. Granted, there is a cut of the movie where we see more of this, the Schumacher cut. I don't know. People have claimed to have seen it, say it's awesome. Maybe someday we'll see it in all its glory. I don't know. It would have been cool to see it while Schumacher and Val Kilmer was still with us. It would have been cool, but hey, maybe someday in the near future we'll see it and we'll be able to fully appreciate this movie as it is. Because as much as people lambast these like non Tim Burton Batman movies of this era, and much as people lambast the shift away from the dark and gritty, Val Kilmer was a good choice. If you were like moving away from Michael Keaton, moving away from like the true, like the pure Tim Burton darkness, like Val Kilmer was a great choice to play Batman in these movies, and he was pretty good in Batman Forever. Like, it's he played both parts of the character pretty well. I remember there was this interview where he said like, um, when he said like when he put that cowl on for the first time, it was like, and then he came across somebody. Is like when he walked on set, the whole vibe changes. Everybody who's played Batman has a similar story to that. Like when they put the cowl on for the first time and they get a look at themselves in the suit, like, and then the vibe just changes. And I think it really, it really it showed like with him in that, you know, he was able to continue that thing of Bruce Wayne and Batman are two different people. It's not like with the George Clooney role of Bruce Wayne and Batman are kind of the same guy. It's just, yeah. As much as people lambast those later movies without Michael Keaton or Tim Burton at the helm, the Batman Forever is honestly my favorite of that bunch, because it's not like Batman Returns where it's so dark that you're like, okay, can we dial it back a little? But it's not like Batman Forever where it's so goofy that you're like, this is ridiculous. This is for children or something. So yeah, it balances it out, right? Like it has those vibrant colors and stuff, and it's a very, it's a well written, it's a well acted film. It's, there's you have those, like there's a scene where like Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell like acting opposite each other, and Val Kilmer's getting patched up in the aftermath of a fight with Two Face, and Chris O'Donnell's telling him, it's like, I'm like, face it, man, I'm your new partner. It's like, what? He's like, besides, like, what are you gonna try to stop me? And he stands up, like he's like banged up, but he stands straight up and he's like, I can stop you. It's like, oh shit, he might, he might, like he just might, man, like, yeah, he banged up right now, but you buy that, yeah, I'm banged up, but I can still whoop you, man, like I can still stop you from doing this. If I wanted to, I could put you down right now. But yeah, it's able to convey that in an effective way that just, yeah, it's that made it my favorite movie of that era. Don't get me wrong, Batman 89 and Batman Returns are good, but if I had to rank those movies, it would be Batman Forever, Batman Returns, then Batman 89. So yeah, these movies got, yeah, he brought his own thing to both the role of Bruce Wayne and to the role of Batman. It just, because that movie really diverged into like the psyche of the character and all that. But yeah, moving on, you see an actor like Val Kilmer, with all the different kind of characters he played, would be a amazing actor to see in a movie like The Saint. One of the best Val Kilmer movies out there, in my opinion, would be The Saint, because we don't just see him playing one dude. In Batman Forever, we saw him essentially play two characters, because Bruce Wayne and Batman aren't the same guy. You don't play those two characters as the same guy if you want to do them right. And he did that. He did the character right as he played them differently. That was him playing essentially two different people. But with the movie like The Saint, you got Val Kilmer playing. I think Robert Downey Jr. said it best. It's like, he's the dude playing another dude. It's not like it's that sounds like nonsense, but he's a dude pretending he's a dude pretending to be a dude who's pretending to be another dude, and that's just the opening scene. he's a he's a guy in this movie. He's kind of like a mercenary, kind of a mercenary for hire, or a thief, basically, a really talented thief who wears various disguises and does accents and shit. And all of his aliases are named after saints, hence the name, like, the Saint. So yeah, it is really good. Like this, the first one, he's this like he's this Australian George Clooney looking dude. I don't know, man. Yeah, just and there's another one where he's this like long haired Afrikaans guy, and there's another one where he's this like got this curly hair and the glasses, and he's a different dude there, and there's another one who's just he comes up with this beard, this thick bushy beard, and he's like, "Excuse me, young lady, you look a little lost. My name's Augustus Cole, named after Saint Augustus." Like just foghorn leghorns. Yeah, it's not just you're not in a movie like that. You're not just playing one guy. You're not playing one guy. You're playing a guy playing another guy. So it's like you need a bunch of. It's like with James McAvoy in Split. There's a lot more to it than just I'm playing the role of the Saint as he's pretending to be someone else. Like, you really need to be able to be textile as hell when it comes to being an actor because you're essentially playing five different people in one film. You're not the when he was hitting on Elizabeth Shue's character as that Afrikaans dude. And another thing there's something that bugged me. I'll just say this much: it kind of bugged me when I read the subtitle. The subtitles were on, and he started speaking, and it said a South African accent. I'm like, man, that is a South African accent. It is not the South African accent. There's a name for it, you know? Just saying, there's a name for that accent. Just say the name of that accent. Don't say South African accent or just speaking in South African. I think the only movie to actually get this right was this movie 15 Minutes. Like Charlize Theron is in it, and she speaks Afrikaans to this one chick, and the subtitles actually say speaking Afrikaans. Like, thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. But that to one side. Back to the man, this talented man. But yeah, with a film like The Saint, that was really good. He was convincing in all those disguises he had on. Because he wasn't just playing a dude. It wasn't just, oh, I'm the same guy under a different accent. It generally felt like there were a bunch of different guys. And it wasn't just the accent, but like just the way of speaking. Like, because he would speak like a normal human being. Like, well, he would speak as he normally would when he was talking to Elizabeth Shue as himself. He'd be like, "Hey, while you're down there, could you do me a favor?" or something like that. He'd speak normally, and then when he was the Afrikaans guy, his speech would just slur, like very slowly. Spoke like in caveman or some shit. He's like, "The sculpture, do you like it?" Like, okay, sure, but yeah, it's understood. Like, yes, these are different people. Of course, they don't just have different accents. It helps if they would have a different way of speaking and a way of carrying themselves. And it's like when he was being that South African dude, he seemed taller. Like he carried himself like he was a bigger dude. Yet when he was pretending to be the Australian guy, he like smiled way more and he was a lot more animated per se. But yeah, that's yeah, man. Just it just says a lot about his abilities as an actor to not just play this one guy, but play this one guy playing a bunch of different guys, and each of those guys will play different ways from each other, so that no two aliases felt the same. It is kind of like James McAvoy and Split, where even though they all with like McAvoy, he doesn't, he didn't have the disguise and everything. So each persona looked the same, but the way he carried himself, you could tell even before he said anything, like, okay, I'm speaking to someone else now. But yeah, it's a well-made movie. It is my favorite. I have to say, arguably my favorite Val Kilmer movie. Right up there with Batman Forever. So The Saint is definitely one of his best performances. Like, and that's up there. So it's like those top three. It's The Saint, Batman Forever, and like Tombstone. In terms of like most memorable Val Kilmer performances, but like I ain't even said nothing about Top Gun because like when he's the Iceman, like I said before, it is not his movie, but it may as well be. Hot damn, man. He almost steals it. Like, yes, Tom Cruise is the star. His name is the Marquis. He is the main character in this film. But Val Kilmer almost steals it from him as the Iceman. Like, he's antagonistic in the early goings, but you kind of, like, as the movie goes on, you kind of see his point of view. You kind of start warming up to him, and you do understand that, oh, man, like, this guy, as much of a dick as he is, he's like, he's the best there is at what he does, and he views himself as such. So when Maverick comes up and he's like grandstanding and hot dog, and it's like, and he thinks he's hot shit. He's like, man, you ain't hot shit. I'm hot shit around here. Like you just shit. But I don't know. But the fact, they do warm up to each other. The rivalry does come to like chill out. It does chill out, at the end, and they become friendly by the end of the movie. You can be my wingman, and all the homoeroticism that line implies. Just shit, that movie, man. Good old Tony Scott movies, man. If this ain't about the sweatiest movie, I don't know what is. Tony Scott protagonists, regardless who they are. Iceman, Maverick, like Dean from Enemy of the State, they stay sweating. Oh, even Denzel in that submarine, Gene Hackman in that submarine, everybody's sweating. Places where there's no reason for them to be sweating. Like, you're on a boat at sea. not even out in the sun. Why is everyone so sweaty? Why is everyone so shiny? It's just, granted, everyone looks good and everyone makes use of it, but like, damn, man. But yeah, that movie is one of the. He's had a lot of memorable roles throughout his career. Val Kilmer had a lot of characters that people like just you could class as like so memorable that they become iconic. Like you see Val Kilmer, and that's the character that comes to mind. Whether it was Batman, whether it was the Iceman, whether it was docholliday, yeah, so many characters that he's had throughout his career. You could just probably be like, and it was, and this was in like the '80s and the '90s. Like early '90s, late '80s. I think around that time. That was around that period, and so that's a heck of a way to kick off a career. Like, man, you like the decade, like that first decade of your career, and you've got banger after banger after banger, and it's like you've already got an award-worthy career. I think Roger Ebert said that Val Kilmer, this was before Batman, before Ghost in the Darkness, he said he was one of the most unsung actors there was, and he would like I think he was implying like he hadn't yet got his flowers, but like he would over the course of his career he would do more than enough to earn his flowers, earn the respect and recognition of his peers and critics and like the audience as a whole. So yeah, to see this progression of this man's career from Top Secrets to Tombstone to Batman Forever to Ghost in the Darkness, and Heat, Michael Mann's Heat. Like just I've seen Heat a bunch of times. I like a lot about that movie. You got Al Pacino and you got Robert De Niro and you got Val Kilmer in the midst of it all. He is a secondary character in that film. They're the two leads. And like I've seen that movie a bunch of times, but it wasn't until today that I was looking for images. I was looking at images of Heat that I was trying to look up Heat. I was like it's like Heat Val Kilmer, and I saw one of the thing. It said Heat Val Kilmer elbow, and I was like, elbow? What's wrong with his elbow? I looked. I actually looked like what? Why is one of the searches Val Kilmer elbow? And I went to look at it. Thought, holy shit! How did I miss that? I've seen this movie so many times that I never noticed. What the hell is up with dude's elbow? And I did some digging. It turns out apparently he like broken his arm filming a movie, and I guess it didn't heal right because holy shit. I guess I missed it on account of his character wears long sleeves for most of the movie, but damn, man. I saw that shit and I was like, hot damn, how did I not see this? Oh, it is. I like this movie. I really do like this movie. It's one of the best action movies ever made. The it is the blueprint for so many. It is the de facto heist movie because it is the blueprint for several heist movies that would come. The shootout is the de facto shootout for and shootouts that would come after it. And this movie was so damn good. Val Kilmer was so damn effective in his role as this bank robber that people in the military show footage of his character in that movie, in that big shootout, to say, hey, here's how you shoot motherfuckers. Like, goddamn. I think the only other person to do that was like Tom Cruise in Collateral, like that scene where he takes down those like two thugs that tried to rob him. Like, I think I heard something like the LAPD uses that video to train their cops. Like, here's how you, enact in this situation, like close quarters combat or some shit. So yeah, Val Kilmer, Tom Cruise. It's like those two dudes played characters so badass and were so effective in their roles, so effective in their training that cops and the military look at their roles and their characters and be like, yo, this is what y'all should need to be doing. Hot damn. Man. Whew. Damn. Moving aside, but yeah, just moving on from that. You see, no, those were these big, bombastic blockbuster type movies. Batman Forever, Heat, and The Saint. Those were movies with blockbusters, where he was allowed to be charming and charismatic. And then you get films like there was this movie where he was playing a blind man and he regained his sight. Like that was a drama, and you get to see more of the acting side of things. Not that those movies didn't have acting, but he really leans in and shows how good of an actor he is, especially in a movie like Tombstone. And you see how he portrays a man trying to do his best to be loyal to his friend, all while battling this disease in the meantime. And you also get a movie like Ghost in the Darkness where he's just a dude. Like he's not some, he's not like a man with a bank robber with like a checkered past, or he's not Batman. He's not a secret agent or a spy or any of that. He's just a dude, and they're trying to get like this railway installed. And in that movie, there's two lions there that mauling everybody, and him and Michael Douglas have to work together to take them down. And you get this badass shot. You have this moment where I think with certain kind of hero, you have this moment where throughout the movie, he's been kind of the reluctant hero, to the point that Michael Douglas comes in and you feel like, okay, surely he's the hero we're going to get. He's the hero we need. He's had experience doing this kind of stuff before. He's going to come in and help save the day. He's the Luke Skywalker type. And, Val Kilmer's character is the reluctant hero who's being dragged in against this will, but Michael Douglas's character is the guy who's going to save the day. He's got the experience, he's got the weaponry, he's got everything he needs. So but Val Kilmer isn't built for this kind of thing. But it's in these kind of movies with a reluctant hero that eventually they're going to have to step up and become the hero of the film. And after Michael Douglas's character dies, you get Val Kilmer's character doing that, and he conveys that with no dialogue, and he just like the look on his face. There's this one badass scene where he's just walking down this track. He fires off a shot to I guess try to summon the lions, and then he's got this shotgun in his hand, and he's just marching down this train track, and the score picks up. Everybody's leaving, and you look at that man's face, and this is a man on a mission. This is a dude with a singular purpose, to blow the fuck out of these lions that are just murdering everybody. Like, this is it. No dialogue, no exposition, no nothing. This dude in this moment has decided, okay, now I need to step up. I can't rely on anyone else. I can't risk anyone else. I am now stepping up and being the hero of this fucking movie. I'm going to be the dude this story needs me to be in this moment. I'm the main character now, basically. There's no one else. It's just me. He's no longer the reluctant hero. He is the hero. And he conveyed all that through just acting. He didn't say, there wasn't some line of dialogue where he's like, I need to do this myself. It has to be me. Or some bullshit about you want to do something right, do it yourself, or something like that. Nah, there wasn't anything like that. It was just the man himself, through his facial expression and his mannerism, standing up and finally, stepping up to lead and be the lead of the film. But yeah, and even in the aftermath, you can see this dude been through a lot. But his acting, not just the acting he did with his eyes and how he would say things. There was this British dude who came in the aftermath, after they taken out the lines, the people were coming back to work, and this British guy comes up and he's like, oh, I wish I could have been here for the hunt. And then you see Val Kilmer, he's like, no, you don't. But it's not like a simple line of, no, you don't. No, the way he said that is like, no, you don't. Because he conveys that as a man who has seen some shit. As the audience, we know he's seen some shit because we've seen it with him. But the look on his face, the look in his eyes, this is a man who's tired. He's since been through hell. And he's like, you don't. When he says that, no, you don't. He's thought through all this shit. He knows this guy says, oh, I wish I could have been here for the hunt. The way you're saying that means that you don't understand. You don't understand the kind of shit we went through. And you would not wish to be here. Because I didn't sure as shit wish I wasn't here. But there was nobody. If someone else would have done this, I would have let them. But since it was only me, I stepped up and I did the shit. And I wish I didn't have to. But yeah. So you saying you wish you be here? You were here? Bullshit. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just, it says a lot about the dude's acting. Man, that movie's great. There's so many movies from the 90s, the 80s that he's in that are just like, hot damn, man, these movies are fantastic. And he's a large part of why that is. Just, there's, I keep saying yeah, man. You made it this far, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah. with a career like Val Kilmer's that spans decades, there's going to be peaks and valleys, and there's going to be moments where it seems to just, you know, slowly starts to peter out. The 2000s, things certainly changed. You had movies like Red Planet, and you had like those straight to DVD John. I think the last big movie he was in before he started doing those straight to DVD movies was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and it was the closest thing I can compare it to was it was a You Still Got It movie. Yeah, it was like a WWE wrestler you hadn't seen in years, like coming back. You know, like he used to be full time, now he's on part time. But he comes back once every few months to let you know, hey, I'm still out here and I can still go. I still got it. I can still carry a movie. You know, I'm not the leading man. I am now one of the leading men. But hey, I still got that leading man swagger about me. I still got, I still got it. I'm still Val Kilmer. you know, that was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and he was playing Gay Perry. Like his character in that movie was it was hilarious. It really leaned into like his his comedic timing with his dialogue and like the physical comedy and like just him being the strict, ironically the gay guy being the straight man to Robert Downey Jr.'s wacky sidekick. It's like yeah, it was pretty good. Like it's well written. It's just it was entertaining. This just that's the thing with all these films, all these performances. Like say what you want, like you may not remember. I may not remember a lot about these movies, but I remember that shit. I was entertained. None of these movies were bad. It's like none of the movies I'd seen were like bad movies. They were just they were memorable. They were beyond memorable. They were entertaining and they were quotable. Don't forget quotable. Shit, there was always like two or three things in that movie that you remember happening or moments that you remember like you remember a piece of dialogue that he said, not just because it was well written, because it was so effectively delivered that like oh yeah, I remember that, yeah. But no, shit. Like the moment where he's arguing with Robert Downey Jr. by the car after he chucked his gun into the lake, and he's like what the like what did you do? It's like and Robert Downey Jr. Like, I got rid of the evidence, and he looks at him and goes, and what's gonna happen when they drag the lake? Did you think about that? That other scene where he's like, look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you're gonna see? A picture of me? No. The definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are. Like that is some endlessly quotable shit. Granted, yeah, the reason most of that movie is quotable because it's written by Shane Black, but man, you need the right guy to nail that dialogue. Otherwise, it's going to sound like garbage because, hot damn, that line is badass coming out of Val Kilmer. It's fucking hilarious because you expect him to say some shit like, oh, a picture, you look up the word idiot, you're going to find a picture of you. You expect that. But he just is like, no, the definition of the word idiot. Like, the fact that you immediately thought definition of the word idiot would be followed by a picture of you, it's like a double insult because A, you're dumb enough that you are the dictionary definition of the word idiot, and B, you were dumb enough to think that if you open the dictionary, you'd find a picture of you in there. Oh, man. Yeah, that film, this performance, like, oh, shit. But yeah. Oh, man. I mean, of course, you can't talk about the man's career without talking about some of the low points. There were a few lows and a few like moments like you do have it with actors this good and this caliber and who are perfect, who strive for perfection. You do get moments where they ask for that kind of perfection from the people around them, or they have their ways of doing things, and it tends to not mesh so good with the ways others do things. You hear stories of how Val Kilmer and Tom Sizemore didn't get along filming Red Planet, how Val Kilmer and Joel Schumacher didn't always get along filming Batman Forever, how Val Kilmer and John Frankenheimer didn't get along, or now Dr. Moreau, and it's just, you get it. I remember something like, I can't, you get it with, performers this caliber. Like, I have a way of doing things that works for me. And the director's like, but I want you to do things this way. And, like that isn't how I do things. It's a clash of personalities, a clash of styles, clash of egos. That happens a lot with actors of this caliber. And, Val Kilmer was no different in that regard. But when he would fire on all cylinders on a movie role, regardless what it was, even some of his lesser known films, when you look at a movie like Mindhunters, I wouldn't say that was firing on all cylinders. That was yeah, that was definitely a film that it's like what happened with Robert Downey Jr. in U.S. Marshals. That film didn't necessarily do anything for him, but it didn't do anything to negatively impact him. It was, yeah, that movie, he was very much a side character. I know till now I've been saying, like, even when he's a side character, he steals the role, but like, that was a movie where I'm like, this role could have been played by anybody. That is definitely the point where his career had uh definitely slowed down a significant amount when he started appearing in like those straight TV movies and started doing movies like Mindhunters. When he appeared in that role, that was definitely, you know, granted, it's probably what was asked of him in that role when he was playing that character to play it the way he did. But that was one of the few roles in Val Kilmer's filmography I looked at and thought this character could have been played by any. Christian Slater is in this movie. You could swap them and the movie still works. It's like, yeah. But even on his worst days, he's one of the best. I'll just say this, even in his least liked movies, you can't say like, he was really half-assing it. Like, just when you got a guy who doesn't say a single word the whole movie, and he's one of the highlights of the movie, that says something about the dude's work ethic and like commitment to things. Because you see a movie like The Snowman, I don't think he says anything in that movie. I don't think he says a single thing in that movie, but like, you'll remember that he was in it. Like, I didn't see him in the credits or nothing. I didn't even know he was going to be in it. I just remember looking at the film and being like, hold up, is that Val Kilmer? And I remember that, like, because he had his grizzly. Just like, wait a minute, is that Val Kilmer right there? Oh shit! But yeah, you may not like the films he's been in. You may not like the performance he might have given in some of those later films in the mid 2010s and so on. But like, you'll remember seeing him. You'll remember him. He was nothing if not memorable. I'll say that much. He was nothing if not memorable. Whether it was a straight to DVD movie with the likes of 50 Cent or a big budget blockbuster with the likes of Robert Downey Jr. or Chris O'Donnell or Tom Sizemore, or heck, Tom Cruise. You remember that guy. You remember that character. If you think of that movie, he's one of the key things you'll think about in it. Like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. Val Kilmer was in it. But yeah, that's the thing about the man's career. And throughout it, he's just been memorable. He's been a lot of great things. He was the guy for a good few years. He was the guy. He was one of those highest grossing actors in Hollywood, one of the most critically well received. There was so much he was doing in Hollywood. And, you see a lot of that recapped in that documentary he made, Val. Yeah, in 2021, he released a documentary comprised of footage that he made, that he recorded over the years. And you see a lot of like the footage he recorded from his various films. Like, you see footage from Dr. Moreau, you see footage from like Iceman, you hear his like thoughts and feelings on all those movies, and you get his son to he gets his son to narrate the film because he has the thing with something, he has a thing with his throat, he can't talk, so it's like he can talk, as if I remember correctly, the explanation in Val was like, when he speaks, like, he has to decide between, like when the way his throat is damaged, he can decide between speaking and breathing. So when he speaks, he can't. When he's breathing, he can't speak. But when he speaks, he can't like breathe. I think that's how it was, but I'm not sure. So yeah, with you know that having happened to him, you can see how it would severely impact his career. And like, think the first movie in which he didn't speak at all, but he still, even when he ain't saying shit, like I said, even when he doesn't say shit, he has an impact and he's memorable. He was in Jay and Silent Bob reboot as the Blunt Man. Yeah, he was there. Like, that was good. That was funny. And he had that text to speech thing that Silent Bob was using. That was funny. Yeah, that had me there. I got a chuckle out of me. Like that, there were some moments throughout that movie where I'm like, eh. But then you get those moments in where he showed up and like, ah shit. Like I said, memorable. You may not remember anything else, but you'll remember that he was in it. Yeah. Oh man. Just the career the man led, the life he had, just it's to hear that, like that now he's gone. It's certainly something which you can look back on and remember fondly, because in the end, that's kind of what we all want. As we get to that point, as we get into those later years, we want to be able to look back on the life we lived and the people we've met, the things we said, and look back on it with fondness and think to ourselves that, we did something. If we want to be able to look back and felt like we did something while we were here, like we made some kind of difference, not just in our lives, but in the lives of the people we knew, and, made some kind of mark on, the world as it was. Like the world, we want to be remembered, just, and with Val Kilmer, his, with his life across film, across television and theater, you know, and to the people who knew him, both co-stars, friends, family members, he definitely will be. You know, he'll be dearly missed. He'll be remembered fondly, and greatly appreciated for his life as it was, from beginning to end, from the highs, the lows, and everything in between and after. So yeah, folks, that's what I wanted to say about the man. Val Kilmer. What an actor. What a performer. Every film he was in, every project. I look back on it now. When he was still around, I would look back on how those movies made me feel, how I deeply enjoyed watching them, how he made me laugh, had me entertained, kept in suspense. It was all this stuff going on. I mean, The Saint was kind of doing the Jason Bourne thing before Jason Bourne, but it's just, yeah. Um, Thank you, Val Kilmer, for all you've done. You'll be remembered fondly and missed dearly. Rest in peace. And yeah, folks, this has been an episode of Moonlight Kingdom podcast. Yeah, y'all have a good day, and that's all I got to say on that one. We are who we are. No point arguing with yourselves or anyone else about it. Thank you.